My friends, financial freedom is not a matter of luck, nor is it the privilege of a chosen few. It is a law, a natural law, that responds to discipline, purpose, and right thinking. Just as the seed obeys the law of growth, so does wealth obey the law of cause and effect. Most people spend their entire lives chasing money when they should have been chasing understanding. Because financial freedom begins not with the wallet, but with the mind, thought is the beginning of wealth. Everything that exists in the material world first existed in the invisible world of thought. Every business, every building, every invention, every fortune ever created began as a simple idea, a seed planted in the fertile soil of the human mind. Wealth, therefore, is not found in banks or gold or property. It is first found in the way we think. The mind is the workshop in which every dream is shaped, every plan is molded, and every fortune is born. To understand this truth is to grasp the foundation of success itself. A man who thinks in terms of scarcity, fear, and limitation will always find himself surrounded by the very conditions he dwells upon. His outer world becomes a mirror of his inner world. But the man who fills his mind with ideas of abundance, growth, and value will attract opportunities, people, and circumstances that match those thoughts. The world does not reward need, it rewards value, and value is born from creative, directed thinking. What we think about most of the time we become. This is not a poetic expression. It is a law as certain as gravity. Most people spend their lives believing that wealth belongs to the few, those born under the right circumstances, those who possess luck, or those with rare talent. Yet history shows otherwise. Men and women have risen from poverty to prosperity not by chance, but by changing the way they think about themselves and their possibilities. The difference between the rich and the poor, the fulfilled and the frustrated, is not found in intelligence or opportunity alone. It is found in attitude. The moment you begin to think like a creator, not a victim, you place yourself among those who shape their destiny. Everything in life begins twice, first in the mind, and then in reality. The architect first imagines the building before he lays a single brick. The composer hears the melody in silence before it fills a concert hall. The entrepreneur envisions a product before a single customer appears. And the person who seeks financial freedom must first design it in thought, in clear, definite, disciplined thought. Vague desires lead to vague results. But when your vision of wealth becomes specific, detailed, and felt with emotion, the subconscious mind begins to work on it day and night, drawing to you people, ideas, and opportunities that align with that picture. Wealth is not the accumulation of money alone. It is the ability to create value repeatedly. Anyone can stumble into fortune once. True wealth is the state of mind that can build, lose, and rebuild again because it understands the principles that govern creation. Thought is the raw material from which all riches flow. When you learn to control your thoughts, you control your financial destiny. The trouble is that most people never truly think, they merely react. They let outside conditions determine their feelings, and their feelings determine their actions. In doing so, they hand over their power to circumstances instead of using thought to shape those circumstances. If thought is the beginning of wealth, then self-awareness is the beginning of thought. Take a moment to examine what you believe about money, success, and your own ability. Are those beliefs serving you or limiting you? Many people secretly believe that money is evil, that success requires greed, or that they are somehow unworthy of abundance. These hidden thoughts act like anchors, holding them in financial struggle no matter how hard they row. The first step to freedom is to replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Tell yourself, money is good when used for good. Wealth allows me to serve, to create, to grow. The mind accepts what it is told repeatedly, and when it believes, it creates. The universe operates by law, not chance. Just as a farmer must sow before he reaps, you must plant the right thoughts before you can harvest wealth. Every thought you think is a seed. If you plant seeds of doubt and fear, you'll harvest poverty and frustration. If you plant seeds of confidence and purpose, you'll harvest prosperity. But remember, nature does not rush. The seed must be watered, nourished, and given time to grow. So too must your thoughts of success be nurtured daily through study, faith, and action. The mind is like a field. It does not care what you plant. It will return whatever you sow, abundance or lack. That is why discipline is vital. You must take control of your mental garden and pull out the weeds of negativity before they overrun your harvest. Replace worry with planning, envy with gratitude, and fear with faith. Every time you choose a constructive thought over a destructive one, you are moving closer to financial freedom. You cannot attract wealth by thinking of poverty. You cannot move toward success while dwelling on failure. The human mind cannot hold two opposing thoughts at once. One must dominate. Choose the thought of prosperity. See yourself as capable, creative, and deserving. Speak words of abundance, not complaint. Think in terms of possibility, not limitation. Soon your outer world will begin to reflect your inner conviction. The law is exact, as within, so without. Those who achieve great wealth rarely start with money. They start with ideas, ideas that solve problems, improve lives, and create value. Money flows naturally to those who create value. So the question is not, how can I make more money? But rather, how can I think in ways that create greater value for others? The moment your thoughts shift from self-centered need to service-centered creativity, the doors of opportunity begin to open. Thought without action is daydreaming, but action without thought is chaos. True success demands both clear thinking followed by intelligent action. When your mind is focused, your actions become purposeful, and your results multiply. That is why every wealthy person develops the habit of daily reflection. They think about their goals, their direction, and their growth. They don't rush blindly, they move deliberately. A calm, focused mind is the greatest asset you can own. Financial freedom is not a destination, but a reflection of who you have become. When you master your thoughts, you master your habits. When you master your habits, you master your results. Wealth begins with a thought, but it is sustained by discipline, purpose, and gratitude. The more you focus on creating value and thinking constructively, the more abundance flows naturally into your life. Look around you. Everything you see, from the chair you sit on to the phone in your hand, began as thought. Someone imagined it, believed in it, and persisted until it became real. That same creative power lives in you. You are the thinker, the dreamer, the creator. You hold within your mind the power to shape your future. So guard your thoughts as you would guard your most precious treasure. Feed your mind with truth, ideas, and inspiration. Refuse to let fear or doubt take root. Believe with calm certainty that you are capable of creating wealth through service, intelligence, and faith. The outer world will respond to the inner picture you hold most firmly. Thought is the beginning of wealth, because thought is the beginning of everything. The quality of your life will always be measured by the quality of your thinking. Think richly, think creatively, think in terms of value and contribution. For as you think, so shall you become, and as you become, so shall your world reflect it in full measure. The power of purpose is the single greatest force that can transform a life from ordinary existence to extraordinary achievement. Purpose gives direction to our thoughts, energy to our actions, and meaning to our struggles. Without purpose, a person drifts like a ship without a rudder, carried by the winds of circumstance, the tides of opinion, and the storms of doubt. But when a man or woman discovers a clear purpose, a reason to rise each morning, life becomes focused, determined, and alive with meaning. Purpose is not something we invent. It is something we uncover. It lies deep within the human spirit, waiting to be awakened. Every person has within them a calling, a sense of mission that whispers in quiet moments, reminding them that they are meant for more than mere survival. Most ignore that voice, distracted by noise, comfort, or fear. But those who listen, who dare to follow the whisper of purpose begin to live with a strength and certainty that others mistake for luck. Without purpose, even wealth loses its value. Money, success, recognition, these things can satisfy the senses, but never the soul. True wealth begins when your daily actions are aligned with something larger than yourself. Purpose transforms effort into joy, work into service, and struggle into growth. When you know why you are doing something, you can endure almost anyhow. Every great achievement in history was powered by purpose. It was purpose that drove explorers to cross oceans, scientists to unlock the secrets of the universe, and inventors to bring comfort to millions. It was purpose that lifted men from poverty to prosperity, and turned ordinary lives into legacies. The most successful people are not necessarily the most talented or intelligent. They are the most purposeful. They have a reason so strong that nothing can deter them. The tragedy of most lives is not failure, but aimlessness. Many people move through life reacting to events instead of creating them. They work without direction, save without reason, and chase goals they do not truly desire. They confuse activity with progress. Purpose changes that. It acts like a compass, pointing you toward your true north even when the path is unclear. It keeps you moving forward when enthusiasm fades and circumstances grow difficult. A person with purpose does not depend on motivation. They are driven by conviction. Purpose also brings clarity. When you know what truly matters to you, distractions lose their power. You stop wasting energy on things that don't serve your mission. Your decisions become easier because they are filtered through the lens of purpose. Opportunities that once seemed appealing are revealed as detours. Obstacles that once seemed insurmountable become part of the process. You no longer ask, "Can I do this?" but rather, "Is this in alignment with my purpose?" That simple shift can change everything. Purpose is not found in comfort. It is discovered through challenge. It is forged in moments of struggle, when we question who we are and why we're here. Those moments that seem like setbacks often hold the seeds of purpose. Pain can refine our priorities. Failure can reveal what truly matters. Loss can awaken a desire to serve, to create, or to build something that endures beyond ourselves. When you embrace your challenges as lessons in the pursuit of purpose, you turn adversity into fuel. The person who lives with purpose radiates confidence and peace. They are not easily shaken by temporary defeats because they see them as steps along the way. They are not envious of others because they measure success by alignment, not comparison. They rise early, work diligently, and rest deeply because they are living in harmony with what they believe. This is the quiet strength that inspires others, not through loud words, but through steady example. Purpose also transforms your relationship with money. When your financial goals are tied to a meaningful purpose, earning and saving become expressions of that mission, not obligations. You no longer work just to pay bills. You work to build something that reflects your values. Money becomes a tool for contribution, a means to expand your influence and impact. It ceases to be an end and becomes a servant to your vision. To live without purpose is to live half alive. To live with purpose is to experience life in full color. It gives even the smallest task significance. Sweeping the floor, studying a skill, making a sale all become sacred when connected to a larger goal. Purpose gives rise to excellence because it demands that you bring your best self to every moment. It calls you to grow, to stretch beyond comfort, to live with intention. Many people spend their lives searching for purpose, as though it were hidden somewhere outside of them. But purpose is not something to find, it is something to decide. It begins when you make a conscious choice to live for something beyond ease or entertainment. Ask yourself, what do I care about deeply enough to dedicate my time, energy, and resources toward? The answer may not come instantly, but if you ask sincerely and persistently, it will reveal itself. Purpose grows clearer with action. As you take steps in the direction of your interests and values, the path unfolds. Once you discover your purpose, commit to it completely. Let it shape your habits, your time, and your thoughts. Review it each morning and remind yourself each night. Write it down, visualize it, speak it into existence. Purpose without commitment is a dream. Purpose with discipline is destiny. Every day that you live with purpose, you build momentum. And over time, that momentum becomes power. The quiet, unstoppable force of a person who knows where they are going and why. There is no age limit for purpose. Some find it young, others discover it after years of searching. What matters is not when, but that you do. Purpose breathes new life into any stage of existence. It can revive tired ambition, heal a discouraged heart, and give direction to those who feel lost. It reminds us that no experience, no mistake, no hardship is wasted when used in service of something meaningful. The world does not need more people chasing money. It needs more people living with purpose. For when a person lives with purpose, they naturally create value. They inspire others to rise, to dream, to contribute. And in doing so, they attract abundance not because they seek it, but because they have become the kind of person who deserves it. Purpose is the engine of faith. It allows you to move forward even when the road is unclear. When you have a why, you can endure the how. You can face rejection, delays, and difficulties with patience, because you know what you are moving toward. Every great dream requires time and persistence. Purpose gives you both. It whispers, keep going, when the world says, give up. When you look back on your life, you will not remember the paychecks, the possessions, or the applause. You will remember the moments when you were fully alive, when you were doing what you were meant to do. That is the reward of purpose. Not comfort, but fulfillment. Not fleeting pleasure, but lasting peace. Purpose is the compass of the human spirit. It points the way through confusion, guides through storms, and steadies the hand in times of doubt. When you discover it, you discover yourself. And when you live by it, you discover that true success, true wealth, and true happiness are all born from the same source, the quiet, unwavering power of a life lived with purpose. The law of discipline is one of the great natural laws of success, as real and as unchanging as the law of gravity. It is the bridge between dreams and reality, between desire and achievement. Without discipline, the finest goals remain fantasies, and the greatest talents go undeveloped. Discipline is the invisible force that shapes character, builds habits, and transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. It is not punishment, it is order. It is not restriction. It is the key that unlocks freedom. Discipline begins in the mind. It starts the moment you decide to take control of your thoughts, emotions, and actions instead of allowing them to control you. Every day, you are presented with a choice, the easy way or the right way. The easy way offers comfort now and regret later. The right way demands effort now and reward later. Discipline is the ability to choose long-term growth over short-term pleasure. It is the quiet, consistent commitment to doing what must be done, even when you don't feel like it. Every success story in history is a testimony to discipline. Greatness is never born overnight. It is built slowly, day by day, through the steady accumulation of small, correct actions. The athlete who wins the gold medal is not made in the moment of victory, but in the countless mornings of practice when no one was watching. The successful entrepreneur is not defined by one big idea, but by years of disciplined decisions, saving, learning, improving, persisting. Discipline is the foundation upon which all achievement stands. Most people fail not because they lack intelligence or opportunity, but because they lack discipline. They start with excitement, but stop when the work becomes uncomfortable. They set goals, but allow distractions to steal their focus. They know what to do, but never do it consistently enough to see results. Discipline is what separates intention from execution. Everyone wants success. Few are willing to submit to the routine it requires. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about being honest with yourself. It is understanding that you cannot wish your way to greatness. You must work your way there. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you strengthen your self-respect. You begin to trust your own word, and that trust becomes power. A disciplined person does not need external motivation because they are guided by internal integrity. They do what they said they would do simply because they said they would. The law of discipline is impartial. It does not favor the talented or the privileged. It rewards whoever obeys it. It says that consistent, focused effort applied over time will always produce results. The person who studies a little every day will surpass the one who studies sporadically. The one who saves a small amount regularly will build wealth faster than the one who waits for the perfect opportunity. Success is not a mystery. It is the natural consequence of disciplined action. There is freedom in discipline. Most people think of discipline as limitation, but in truth it liberates you. The disciplined individual is not controlled by impulse, laziness, or circumstance. They are free because they live by choice, not by chance. When you discipline your time, you gain more of it. When you discipline your finances, you gain independence. When you discipline your body, you gain strength. When you discipline your mind, you gain peace. True freedom does not come from doing whatever you please. It comes from mastering yourself so that you may do what is right. The undisciplined life, on the other hand, is a life of bondage to moods, habits, and external forces. Without discipline, you drift, reacting to events instead of creating them. You eat what feels good, spend what looks good, and say what sounds good, and then wonder why your life feels out of control. Discipline restores order. It turns chaos into structure and confusion into clarity. It allows you to move from wishful thinking to deliberate living. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you develop, just as a muscle is developed through use. Every act of self-control strengthens it, and every surrender to temptation weakens it. The good news is that it grows with practice. Start small. Keep one promise today. Wake up when you said you would. Complete the task you've been avoiding. Save a little money. Study for an hour. Each small act builds momentum. Over time, those tiny victories accumulate into character, and character creates destiny. Discipline also requires vision. You must know why you are being disciplined. When your purpose is clear, discipline becomes easier because it has meaning. You are no longer just enduring discomfort. You are investing in a future. The person who trains daily is not suffering through exercise. They are building strength and confidence. The person who saves money is not depriving themselves. They are buying peace of mind. Discipline without purpose feels like prison. Discipline with purpose feels like progress. There will always be temptation to quit. The world rewards comfort and punishes patience. It tells you that you can have results without effort, success without sacrifice, and rewards without work. But nature does not operate that way. You cannot cheat the law of discipline. Every shortcut eventually becomes a detour. The price of success must be paid, and it is always paid in advance, in effort, in time, and in persistence. Those who refuse to pay it remain forever in debt to mediocrity. Discipline and habit are inseparable. What you do repeatedly becomes automatic. That is both the danger and the opportunity. If your habits are weak, your results will be weak. Habits are hereditary. Success becomes inevitable. Take discipline is the disciplipac act of forming habits that serve you instead of destroy you. It is choosing to act based on principles rather than impulses. Once the right habits are established, discipline no longer feels like effort. It becomes a way of life. The disciplined person is not immune to failure, but they are never defeated by it. They learn, adjust, and continue. They understand that consistency beats intensity. It is better to move forward an inch every day than to sprint for a week and stop for a month. The disciplined person embraces repetition, knowing that greatness is built on routine, not inspiration. While others wait to feel ready, they act. While others complain, they produce. and in time they rise not because of luck, but because of law. Discipline also shapes character. It teaches patience, humility, and respect for process. It reminds us that everything valuable takes time. A tree does not grow overnight, and neither does a strong life. Through discipline, you develop resilience, the ability to keep moving when emotions say stop. You learn to delay gratification, to work in silence, to finish what you start. These qualities, invisible at first, become your greatest advantage. At the heart of discipline lies self-respect. Each time you follow through on your commitments, you tell yourself, I can rely on me. That confidence spreads into every area of your life. You walk taller, speak clearer, and think deeper. You no longer seek approval from others because you have earned your own. Discipline gives you dignity, the quiet pride of a person who knows they are in control of their life. In the end, the law of discipline is not about restriction. It is about creation. It is the process by which you take control of your destiny. Without it, talent wastes, dreams fade, and time slips away. With it, you can shape your life into whatever image you hold in your mind. It is the key to success, the path to mastery, and the foundation of freedom. Discipline is not easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. The reward is not just achievement, but transformation. You become stronger than your excuses, greater than your fears, and calmer than your chaos. You learn that the true measure of success is not what you accomplish, but what you become in the process. And through the steady practice of discipline, you become the kind of person capable of achieving anything you decide to pursue. So embrace the law of discipline. Let it guide your actions, shape your habits, and strengthen your will. Because once you have mastered yourself, you have mastered life, and there is no greater freedom than that. The real meaning of freedom is often misunderstood. Many people believe freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want, without restraint or responsibility. But that kind of freedom quickly turns into chaos, confusion, and eventually bondage. True freedom is not the absence of discipline, it is the result of it. It is not the liberty to follow every impulse, but the power to master them. Freedom is the ability to live by design, not by default. It is the quiet strength of self-control, the peace that comes from order, and the joy of knowing that you are the master of your own destiny. Freedom begins in the mind. Before a person can be free outwardly, they must first be free inwardly. You can live in a country that offers every right and opportunity, and yet be a prisoner of fear, doubt, habits, or circumstances. Real freedom is not granted by governments or society. It is claimed through personal mastery. It is the ability to think clearly, to choose wisely, and to act with purpose. The individual who cannot control his thoughts or his emotions cannot be free, no matter how much wealth or power he possesses. A free person is one who has discovered that liberty is not in escape, but in understanding. It is not about running away from duty, but fulfilling it with intention. It is not found in comfort, but in responsibility. Freedom is the natural reward of those who take charge of their lives, who live by principles instead of preferences. It requires strength of character, because freedom demands that you make choices, and choices always carry consequences. The undisciplined person wants the privileges of freedom without the price of self-control, but you cannot separate the two. The moment you refuse responsibility for your actions, you surrender your freedom to circumstances. True freedom is self-direction. It is the capacity to live life according to your highest values and deepest convictions. It means you are no longer pushed around by fear of opinion, by the pressure of conformity, or by the chains of indecision. Most people live as prisoners of expectation, slaves to what others think, or what society dictates. They measure their worth by comparison, their success by applause, and their happiness by approval. The result is a life spent trying to please everyone but themselves. The free person, on the other hand, is independent of public opinion. They are guided by an inner compass, not external noise. They live from within, not from without. Freedom also means control over time. The one who controls his days controls his destiny. Time is the raw material of life, and how you use it determines the quality of your freedom. The person who wastes time is enslaved by procrastination, while the person who manages time with care becomes the architect of their own future. Freedom does not come from having endless leisure. It comes from using each hour with intention. When your time serves your purpose, you are free. Financial freedom is another form of true liberty, but again, it begins with discipline, not desire. It is not about having unlimited money, but about gaining mastery over money. The individual who lives beyond their means, chasing pleasures they cannot afford, becomes a captive of debt and worry. The one who spends wisely, saves consistently, and invests intelligently enjoys peace of mind. Financial freedom is not measured by possessions, but by independence, the ability to choose work you love, to give generously, and to live without fear of lack. Freedom of thought is perhaps the rarest form of all. It means the ability to think for yourself, to question, to analyze, to decide what is true based on evidence and experience, not rumor or emotion. Many people accept ideas handed to them by others, by media, tradition, or popular opinion, without ever examining them. They become mental prisoners, repeating the thoughts of others while believing they are their own. The free mind is open but discerning. It listens to ideas but is not ruled by them. It seeks truth, not comfort. The real meaning of freedom also lies in self-mastery. The person who cannot govern their desires, emotions, or habits is not free. They are ruled by them. Anger, greed, envy, laziness, fear, these are inner tyrants that enslave the human spirit. Freedom begins when you take command of yourself, when you can say no to temptation and yes to what strengthens you. Each act of self-control is a step toward liberation. The stronger your self-discipline, the greater your freedom. Freedom is peace of mind. It is waking up in the morning without dread, living each day without regret, and resting at night without fear. It is knowing that you are not at the mercy of events, but in partnership with them. Life will always bring challenges, but the free person meets them calmly, because they have confidence in their ability to respond. They are not chained to outcomes, they are anchored in purpose. Their happiness does not depend on what happens, but on how they think about what happens. Freedom is not indulgence, it is balance. It does not mean abandoning responsibility in search of pleasure, but harmonizing duty with joy. Many people chase freedom through excess, too much spending, too much eating, too much leisure, and end up enslaved by their own appetites. True freedom lies in moderation, in living according to natural law. It means aligning your actions with truth, not impulse. Freedom without morality becomes destruction. Freedom guided by wisdom becomes power. The real meaning of freedom also includes the freedom to grow. To live freely is to live with curiosity, to learn continuously, and to adapt willingly. Stagnation is a kind of prison. The free person is never finished. They are always becoming. They see change not as a threat, but as an opportunity. They seek knowledge because they know that ignorance is the heaviest chain of all. Freedom demands courage. It takes courage to walk your own path, to think independently, to stand by your convictions when others disagree. It takes courage to leave behind comfort in pursuit of purpose. The coward may have safety, but the brave have freedom. Every act of courage expands your liberty. Every act of fear contracts it. The more you dare to live authentically, the freer you become. Freedom also carries responsibility. You cannot have one without the other. The higher your freedom, the greater your duty to use it wisely. Freedom without responsibility becomes abuse. But when you use your freedom to uplift, to create, to contribute, it enriches not only your life, but the lives of others. The freest people are not those who take the most, but those who give the most. They live not as isolated individuals. but as conscious participants in the world, shaping it for the better. To live freely is to live deliberately. It means knowing who you are, what you stand for, and where you are going. It means using each day with purpose, acting instead of reacting, creating instead of complaining. Freedom is not a gift that life gives you. It is a power that you claim through awareness, discipline, and integrity. When you understand the real meaning of freedom, you stop seeking escape and start seeking mastery. You stop chasing comfort and start pursuing growth. You realize that freedom is not found in avoiding life's difficulties, but in facing them with strength and grace. You learn that to be free is to be self-reliant, responsible, and at peace within yourself. Freedom, in its highest form, is spiritual. It is the liberation of the soul from fear, ignorance, and limitation. It is the quiet certainty that you are a creator, not a victim, that you are guided by a purpose greater than circumstance. It is the realization that no one can imprison your mind unless you allow them to. The real meaning of freedom is mastery of the self, mastery of thought, emotion, and action. It is living in harmony with truth, guided by purpose, and anchored in discipline. It is not something to be demanded, but something to be earned. And once earned, it cannot be taken away, because it lives not in the world around you, but in the strength and clarity of the world within you.